Numerous gazes swept towards Duan Lingtian and Feng Tianwu, and some of them were faintly filled with surprise. Obviously, Duan Lingtian and Feng Tianwu's ages had shocked them. As far as they were concerned, since this pair of young man and woman were capable of coming here, then it indicated that one of them is at least a void initiation stage martial artist. No matter who was the void initiation stage martial artist, it was sufficient to be shocking. Because amongst the two of them, the violet-clothed young man that was comparatively older seemed to only be around the age of 25. Even if it was the Darming dynasty, a void initiation stage martial artist at such an age was considered to be extremely rare. I wonder from which power they're from. They're actually so outstanding. Many people were shocked in their hearts. Big Brother Duan, let's go directly to the 7th floor. Only the wine there is the true specialty wine of the Ice Flame Pavilion. Feng Tianwu smiled lightly to Duan Lingtian and gestured to Duan Lingtian before striding out to walk towards the nearby stairway that led to the 2nd floor of the Ice Flame Pavilion, and then she walked up the stairs with large strides. Duan Lingtian followed closely behind. For a time, all the customers in the 1st floor of Ice Flame Restaurant were petrified. The 2nd floor of the Ice Flame Pavilion was different to the 1st floor. On the 1st floor, so long as one was a void initiation stage martial artist, then one could enter even if one was a 1st level void initiation stage martial artist, whereas, the 2nd floor could only be entered by 2nd level void initiation stage martial artists. Of course, if there was a 2nd level void initiation stage martial artist amongst one's companions, then one could also ascend the 2nd floor to drink wine. The higher the floor of the Ice Flame Restaurant, the stronger the strength of the wine on it. Supposedly, the wine on the 7th floor and above could be compared to spirit fruits to a certain extent, and it was capable of tempering and improving one's origin energy. I didn't hear wrongly earlier, right? That red-clothed young woman that possessed unrivaled beauty seemed to have said she wants to ascend to the 7th floor. An old man in the hall of the 1st floor recovered from his shock, and he couldn't help but exclaim out with a low voice and was in slight disbelief. The Ice Flame Pavilion had a total of 9 floors, and every single floor required a different cultivation. For example, the 7th floor was place-only martial artists at the 7th level of the void initiation stage or above could enter. You didn't hear wrongly. I heard it as well. I heard it too. Instantly, many people seconded the views of the others. Two people like them are really capable of ascending the 7th floor. Some people couldn't help but speak out with doubt. It's probably quite unlikely. If they're really capable of ascending the 7th floor, then their natural talent is even better than young Master Wei Yi. Some people shook their heads. Right, even if it's young Master Wei Yi, he only broke through to the 7th level of the Void initiation stage at the age of 30. In terms of natural talent and comprehension ability, only His Majesty the Crown Prince can compare to young Master Wei Yi amongst the younger generation of our Darming dynasty. Perhaps, even Feng Tianwu didn't know that a single thing she said had caused the entire first floor of the Ice Flame Pavilion to be completely bustling. Meanwhile, Duan Lingtian and Feng Tianwu had first ascended to the 2nd floor of the Ice Flame Pavilion before subsequently ascending the 3rd floor of the Ice Flame Pavilion. These two inscription formations were slightly different. The inscription formation on the 2nd floor has a restriction at the 2nd level of the Void initiation stage, whereas, the 3rd floor's inscription formation has a restriction at the 3rd level of the Void initiation stage. Duan Lingtian thought in his heart when he walked into the 3rd floor's hall, and he recalled the two inscription formations he'd experienced earlier. Meanwhile, he obtained an answer. If one wanted to ascend the 2nd floor of the Ice Flame Pavilion, one must be a 2nd level Void initiation stage martial artist, whereas, if one wanted to ascend the 3rd floor, then one must be a 3rd level Void initiation stage martial artist. In this way, the later floors can be deduced from this. So if one wanted to ascend the 7th floor of the Ice Flame Pavilion that Tianwu mentioned, then one must be a martial artist at the 7th level of the Void initiation stage. Duan Lingtian guessed this extremely easily. Whoosh! At the same time, the crowd of customers on the 3rd floor revealed expressions of astonishment when they saw Duan Lingtian and Feng Tianwu. Presently, not many young people could be seen sitting alone in the 3rd floor. Most of the young people had some old men or middle-aged men sitting by their sides, and they were obviously brought up by these people. Otherwise, they utterly didn't possess the qualifications to ascend here with their cultivations. When they saw Duan Lingtian and Feng Tianwu ascend the 3rd floor and were not accompanied by a senior, the entire 3rd floor of the Ice Flame Pavilion was stirred. My God! How old are they? This natural talent is simply heaven-defying. Even if they're compared with young Master Wei Yi and His Majesty the Crown Prince, they seem to be on par, right? This red-clothed young woman is even younger and looks to be a little over 20. If she's really a 3rd level Void initiation stage martial artist, then her natural talent is simply greater than young Master Wei Yi and His Majesty the Crown Prince. The entire 3rd floor of the Ice Flame Pavilion was bustling as the crowd of customers weren't the slightest bit stingy with their words of praise towards Duan Lingtian and Feng Tianwu. Right when they thought Duan Lingtian and Feng Tianwu would sit down at the 3rd floor of the Ice Flame Pavilion, a scene that caused them to be moved once more had appeared. They saw the violet-clothed young man and red-clothed young woman had actually continued to ascend the stairway that led to the fourth floor. The fourth floor. They actually want to go to the fourth floor. Along with an astonished voice sounding out, the entire third floor fell into deathly silence. The strongest customer that sat at the third floor was only at the third level of the void initiation stage, yet when they saw two young people that weren't more than 30 years old heading towards the fourth floor now, they felt that they'd simply lived their lives in vain. When he ascended the fourth floor and passed by the two middle-aged men that were guarding at the sides of the stairway, Duan Ling Tian had once again sensed the existence of an inscription formation. Meanwhile, two clear sounds resounded out, and it welcomed Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tianwu. The two middle-aged men that stood on guard at the entrance of the stairway at the fourth floor couldn't help but glance at each other, and both of them saw astonishment in the eyes of the other. Obviously, they were shocked by the accomplishments Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tianwu had obtained at such an age. Two fourth void initiation stage martial artists weren't sufficient to cause them to be moved. But if a title of being a little over the age of 20 and around the age of 25 were added onto the fourth level void initiation stage martial artists, then it was sufficient to cause them to be extremely shocked. On the other hand, the customers on the fourth floor couldn't help but be astonished when they saw Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tianwu. Especially when they saw Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tianwu continuing to walk towards the fifth floor, most of them were petrified and were unable to recover from their shock for a long time. The fifth floor had another inscription formation as well. Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tianwu entered into it and encountered a similar treatment as before. Under numerous gazes of extreme shock, the two of them once again headed towards the sixth floor, causing the crowd of customers in the fifth floor to be flabbergasted. Bang! 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 For a time, the sound of cups falling to the ground resounded out successively. In next to no time, waves of wailing that were filled with deep regret resounded out right after. The wine in the fifth floor of the Ice Flame Pavilion wasn't cheap, and wasting it just like this had caused them to be unable to refrain from feeling an ache in their hearts. The sixth floor, at the entrance to the stairway. When they saw Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tianwu ascend to the sixth floor, the two middle-aged men that stood on guard there were slightly stunned, but they didn't say anything. Being able to walk up to here indicated that one of the two young people before them surely had a strength at the fifth level of the void initiation stage or above. As for if one of them was at the sixth level of the void initiation stage, it instead required the inscription formation's verification. When Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tianwu walked past the stairway, two clear sounds suddenly resounded out at the entrance of the stairway, causing the two middle-aged men to be completely stunned. They knew what this meant. It meant that both the young man and young woman were existences at the 6th level of the void initiation stage or above. As expected, along with the arrival of Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tianwu, the 6th floor was in an uproar. Freaks! Monsters! Similar exclamations of shock rose and fell. These people that emitted the exclamations stared fixedly at Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tianwu with faces that were filled with astonishment. Heavens! This violet-clothed young man is a 6th level void initiation stage martial artist. His natural talent has obviously surpassed young Master Wei Yi and His Majesty the Crown Prince. Who exactly is he? I've actually never heard of him in the past. There's a figure like this in our Darming dynasty. Which power is actually capable of fostering such outstanding young genius? If he was born a few years earlier, then even if it's young Master Wei Yi or His Majesty the Crown Prince, they would probably be left extremely far behind by him. At this moment, the gazes of the people in the 6th floor had completely locked onto Duan Ling Tian. They firmly believed unanimously that Duan Ling Tian was a 6th level void initiation stage martial artist. As for Feng Tianwu, they didn't dare think about it. Because Feng Tianwu was truly too young, so they thought that Feng Tianwu was only capable of ascending the 6th floor because she had followed Duan Ling Tian. If they knew that both Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tianwu were martial artists at the 6th level of the void initiation stage or above, it was a mystery what their expressions would look like. Young Master Wei Yi? His Majesty the Crown Prince? Duan Ling Tian's brows raised. All along the way, he'd heard these two people being mentioned more than once, and the tone the people had when they spoke of these two people was filled with respect. Duan Ling Tian and Feng Tianwu disregarded the waves of shocked exclamations that came from behind them as they ascended the stairway that led to the 7th floor. At the same time, Duan Ling Tian couldn't help but ask curiously. Tianwu, do you know who the young Master Wei Yi and Crown Prince they speak of are? Feng Tianwu nodded and then said, that young Master Wei Yi is the #1 expert in the younger generation of the Zhao clan, Zhao Wei Yi. As for the Crown Prince, he's instead the current Crown Prince of the Darming dynasty's imperial family, Liu Yang. Zhao Wei Yi, Liu Yang, the widely known strongest experts of the Darming dynasty's younger generation. Their strength surpass our Darkhan dynasty's Zhang Xiaoyang, Yes Yao, and Bai He. The reason Feng Tianwu used Zhang Xiaoyang, Yes Yao, and Bai He as a comparison was because they were the most famous young geniuses in the Darkhan dynasty before the dynasty martial competition of the Darkhan dynasty, whereas, no matter if it was Duan Ling Tian, Zai Shang, or Bai Hao, all of them could be considered to be black horses.